Hey friends, I just wanted to take a moment and make another video for you guys. Again, this video is going to sort of look at that transition from high school to college. I think we've got quite a few kids that are maybe on that bridge or maybe as they're getting into high school starting to think more about college. And so I have another question today sort of dealing with that. And the question is this: where am I going to college? Now, that is a great question. It's a question a lot of people ask, and if you're not asking it now, you probably will be in the future. So, this probably does apply to you. So, first, I want to take us to the Bible, and I want to take us to First Peter 5. And actually, interesting enough, First Peter 5 is today's devotional. So if you're following along with the Ignite reading plan, First Peter 5 is today's devotional, and you probably either have read it, and if you haven't, my challenge is for you to go and read this chapter today and to spend some time with God. So that's kind of a freebie off the start. So we're going to look at First Peter 5. If you have your Bibles, I encourage you to open there, and I encourage you to read verses 6 and 7 with me. And they say this: Therefore, humble yourself under the mighty hand of God, that he may exalt you at the proper time, casting all your anxiety on him because he cares for you. Now, I don't know about you guys, but this verse brings a lot of peace and comfort in difficult times, whether you're looking to go to college, whether you have illness, whether you have an uncertainty in your future. This verse should bring a ton of peace and comfort. So let's unpack this real quick. It starts by saying, Therefore, humble yourselves under the mighty hand of God. A theme that you hear come up a lot of times is this: when we're looking towards our future, a lot of times we have this sense of not being in control and not knowing what to do. And that's okay, right? But here's the thing: we are not called to figure it out for ourselves by ourselves. Okay? We certainly have in our lives, we do make decisions. And God doesn't give us always an audible voice that comes down and says, here's where you should go to college, right? But we still have to submit ourselves to what he wants for us. So what does that look like? Well, that means we have to sort of stop and take the time to pray for wisdom and guidance. Because God may draw you towards a specific school, he may draw you towards a specific outcome, he may close doors where he doesn't want you to be, and he may be doing all of that for you. But if you're not first humbling yourself to his guidance, right, you're going to completely miss out on that. And so, what this looks like is if you're struggling between a couple different schools, just simply hitting your knees and saying, Lord, I'm faced with a really big decision. And it's causing me a lot of anxiety and stress, and I don't really know what to do. I need your help and your guidance. On one hand, I have school A, which seems to be great, and then I have school B and C, and just really pour out your heart before God as to the decision that you have to make. You see, sometimes people think that that sounds weird, like, man, you're talking to God about college. Does he even really care about all those different schools and you laying out? Of course he does. Let's look at the verse 7 here. It says, Cast all your anxiety on him because he cares for you. You see, this should bring you peace and comfort because in all of this, in our lives, we serve a God. If you're a follower of Christ, you serve a God who cares for you and wants the best for you and wants you to come to him with everything that you have in your life. He wants you to pour all your anxiety, pour all your cares, pour all your worries on him because he loves you and cares about you so much. You see, when we bring our anxiety, when we bring our worries to God, I think it does a couple things. Number one, he asks us to do that, not so much because for him, right? He already knows everything about us, knows everything that we're going to bring to him, but it's for us, right? I don't know about you guys, but when I'm really stressed out or anxious or upset about something, when I bring it to God, the creator of the universe, somehow I leave those situations feeling a tremendous sense of peace because I'm no longer in it alone. I have the creator of the universe on my side. He's heard me, right? The second thing that I think it does for us is it reminds us of how big God is and how small maybe that issue is that we're facing, right? When we come to God with, where should I go to college? It reminds us, wow, I'm coming to the creator of the universe. And I don't know today, but that's okay because I worship the creator of the universe. And no matter what my future holds for me here on this earth, I know I'm going to spend eternity with him in heaven. And you might say, well, that's great, but I still got to know where to go to college. And I think in time, if you continue to lay it at God's feet, he's going to provide you some direction, whether that's through closing doors, like I said earlier, or maybe some guidance from an adult who's near and close to you, who might be able to say, these might be the things that you should look at. He's going to provide that for you, I truly believe, if you wholeheartedly just lay this at his feet. Practically, as you're looking at college and trying to decide where you're going to go to college, there are a couple things that I would advise you on. Number one is this. One of the things that I see so many students and college students get in, just that really screws things up, is get into mounds and mounds of debt. And if I could give you any advice outside of this, it would be, please, as you're looking at school, as you're trying to consider the best schools for you, please consider debt. Yeah, you can get loans, but those loans are going to need to be paid back. And those loans are going to have to be paid back at some point in time in your future. And so while you may not be paying for it out of pocket now, racking up $50,000, $100,000, $200,000 in debt is not a great way to prepare for your earthly future. And I would strongly, strongly, strongly advise against it. No $50,000 or $100,000 or $200,000 in debt is ever worth the college experience, okay? And so I would strongly start there and recommend that you consider the cost of school versus the degree you're getting. Now, if you're going to get $200,000 in student loans, but you're going to become a doctor, well, then that makes sense because the amount of money that you make after you get out of school is going to be significantly higher than, say, if you're coming out of school and you're going to be a social worker, right? So the $200,000 in loan isn't really as big of a financial burden to someone like that. However, if you're going to come out of school and become a social worker, I hate to tell you, but working in the mental health field, you just don't get paid as much as a doctor, right? And so you really have to kind of think about that. What are you going to school and what is going to be worth it for me in the future? The second thing I would strongly suggest is look at maybe taking some of those those initial classes, those prerequisite classes, your math, your science, your English, your history, any of those that you have to take. Think about maybe taking those at Tri-C or taking those at a community college that may help to take away some of the amount of financial burden that you feel, and also it will help you kind of sort of have more time to decide what you want to do in your future and the best schools for it. And so if you watch the previous video that sort of talked about, picking that school and knowing how you're going to, what you need to do to get into schools, it kind of helps you to think about what you're interested in those specialty schools. And a lot of times we don't even know when we hit college. And so taking that time to go to a Tri-C or go to a community college and kind of get those prerequisite classes out of the way and sort of take that, extra semester or two to sort of really make a solid decision is definitely something that you could benefit from. And then the last thing that I would sort of suggest for you as you're looking into going to college is you need to decide, are you going to go away to a college and live on campus, or are you going to stay somewhere local, right? There are some colleges here in the area that aren't community colleges but would still have you staying local. For instance, maybe Baldwin-Wallace, Kent State, Cleveland State, Case, John Carroll. There are a whole bunch of different ones that you could sort of start to look at as you're making these decisions. And so ultimately, again, I can't tell you what to or not to do. But what I can tell you is this: weigh the cost, weigh the benefit, look at all your options and lay them out. And think about not only what was the coolest campus, which definitely comes into play, but think about all the other aspects: financial, travel, Are you going to live on campus or off campus? Is it a specialty school that specializes in something that you really want to do? Do they have a top rated academic program? And find out what's actually important to you as you try to make these decisions. Because ultimately, this is a big decision about going to college and what college you're going to go to. And so I would challenge you to put all the options on the table, to lay it all out. God gave us brains to logically think through this. And so, first, you got to lay it at His feet. And then, second, you really have to look at everything because He might be speaking to you through just looking it out and thinking about it and going, well, one school is going to cost me $100,000 a year and one school is going to cost me 15. Well, He might be pointing out an obvious thing to you. I don't know. And so, the final thing I would say is find those people, whether it's parents, whether it's myself, whether it's a youth leader, whether it's a coach or a teacher or a guidance counselor, find those people around you that know you, know your specific situation, and can help you sort of walk through this as you look at what school should I go to, what should I do, and how's the best way to go about it. So I hope this helps you, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video.